Okay, welcome everyone as we welcome in Aaron Slade, Stephen Holtzman, the Fisher family, driving from Tannersville, Yitzi Fuchs, and Marshall Castle, Saba. We welcome in Michal Akhtar, Ben Sion Cohn. We welcome in Yitzi Muller, Naftali Jablin. We welcome in Irving Fishman, Ilya Shutman, Avram Zepkowitz, Abe Arbach. Here in the shul, we have Gedalia Engel and Chaim Kramer and Ruvain Shannet, so far holding down the fort over here at the Agudas Yisrael Beis Zev. And we are holding in our incredible journey in Agadita, we are holding on the bottom of, and here comes my Shaliman. We are holding on the bottom of Daf Ayin Daled Amud Beis, 5 lines from the bottom, and we are sponsored by Baruchi and Nishmas Yaakov Chaim and Abba Esther Bas Gittel Avram Ben Shmuel HaKohen Yaakov Yimansky V'Dakas Tov to the Rav and the Zoom family, and Nachas from children and grandchildren, A.B. Spry for Nachas from children and grandchildren, Ed Salah from London, Joshua Rosenberg, Virtual Talmud, Shalom Fogel, Leland Ishmas, Yaakov Zev, Ben Yehuda Aryeh, Rivka Bas Yaakov Yosef, Sivya Miriam Bas Gad, Yosef Ben Sion, Ben Yaakov Zev. We learned for Chavar Adaf, Shimon Yehuda Ben Gittel. Hope to hear good news since his eye surgery this past week. Again, we are on the bottom of Daf Ayin Daled Amud Beis. Ki Asa Rav Dimi, when Rav Dimi arrived, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, he said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Mai Dichsiv, what is that which is written? Ki Hu Al Yamim Yesada, it is, Eretz Yisrael is founded upon seas. And on rivers it's established. Elu Shiva Yamim, these are the 7 seas, and the 4 rivers Shemakifenes Eretz Yisrael, that surround Eretz Yisrael. Ve'elu Hain, we know some of these, other of these are shrouded in mystery, some of these don't exist anymore. Ve'elu Hain Shiva Yamim, Yama Shel Tveria, the Yam of Tveria, Yama Shel Sdaim, of course that's the what we call the Dead Sea. V'yama shel chilas, now there is another gears over here that's Yama shel Eilat, and it's what's known as the Gulf of Aqaba. Yama shel Chilta, Yama shel Sivche, Yama Aspamia, and Yama Gadol, the Great Sea, which is, of course, the Mediterranean. Ve'elu hein arba narais, and the following are the 4 rivers, the Yarden, V'yarmoich, v'kirum yain ufina, these 2 rivers are assumed to be near Damascus. Ki Asa Rav Dimi Amar Rabbi Yochanan, as we welcome in Michal Avram, and we're holding on the bottom line of Ayin Daled Amud Beis, 74b. Ki Asa Rav Dimi Amar Rabbi Yochanan, when Rav Dimi came, he said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Asid Gavriel is destined Lasois Kenigya, to make a hunt with the Levyasan, Im Levyasan. Only a celestial creature could do this. Shenema, as Hashem said to Eve, Hasim Sheikh Levyasan Bechika, do you think that you could catch the Levyasan with a hook? Chevel Tashkia L'Shainai, and that you could sink a rope into its tongue and lasso it? And if not, that Hashem helped the Levyasan, and if Hashem helped Gabriel, even Gabriel would not be able to overcome him. Shenema Ha'oso, the Creator, had to be Yagesh Charba, had to enter with his sword. And I have to know, because we had another medrash that the Behemoths Bahari Elef, the Behemoth Bahari Elef would have a battle with the Levyasin, and they would kill each other. So it's not that difficult because there were actually two Levyasins, right? There was the Levyasin Nachash Bariach and the Levyasin Nachash Akalasan. The one was the straight snake, and one was the crooked one. So it could be referring to different Levyasins. As we welcome in Shelley Zeitlin, 4 lines from the top of Ayin Hey Amud Aleph. Tiyasa Rav Dimi, when Rav Dimi came, Amar Rav Yochanan, he said in the name of Rav Yochanan, B'shoshev Livyasin Rav, when Livyasin is hungry, Moitzi Hevel Mipiv, he lets out his hot breath, and that hot breath is very hot. And it heats up all the waters of the deep, turning it into a veritable pot. He boils up the deep as if it was a cauldron. He's making himself a nice fish stew. Now the Gemara tells us something else, that the Levyasim had a very strong stench, and if not the fact that it stuck its head into Gan Eden, nobody would be able to withstand its smell. Shenemar Yom Yosim Kemer Kocha. He makes the sea like a perfume shop because he sheds the smell that he takes from Gan Eden. And when it's thirsty, it's able to drink the seawater, and the amount that it drinks, it makes furrows in the sea. In other words, so much water is absent, it makes furrows in the sea. Shenema achrav yoyer nesiv. After him is an illuminated, a discernible path. And the Gemara tells us, Amar Rav Acha bar Yaakov, Ein Toim Chayzel Eisanai, these indentations from the drinking of the Levyasim doesn't return back to normal at Shivim Shana, until 70 years. Shenemar Yachshav Tahaim L'Seva. This imprint that is done on the deep is like a seva, is like 70 years. That's there's no old age less than 70. That's we say that we stand up for a person if they seva takum for a person that's over 70.
Does that mean he doesn't drink more than once every 70 years?
It means that he doesn't drink in the same place. Now,
how come we don't see this?
How
come we don't see this?
Well, the fact of the matter is that there are seas around the world that not many people see. And we don't get reports of this nowadays, or that's one possibility. Another possibility is that for our times, the Levyasim operates discreetly because perhaps it would be too destructive if the Levyasim would behave this way. So Hashem protects the Bria. More places in the world are populated now, and perhaps Hashem had to curtail the Levyasim's behavior, which Hashem could do. As we welcome in Rich Leonard, who ran to eat supper. Well, we're glad that you're back well fed and ready to go. I won't eat supper till much later tonight. Breakfast was had together with my wife at 2:30. That's when I had breakfast. That's when I had breakfast. When I finished learning, and I finished the Seder with Shelley. Shelley made himself available to me earlier today. Shelley, is the article done?
No, I just got home a little few minutes.
But you'll do it tonight, yeah?
Yeah.
Good. A good Elul article coming up now.
You gonna be for the shopper?
For the Shopper, the Views, and the Jewish Press. It goes into 3 places.
You don't go to Sports Illustrated too?
No, not Sports Illustrated, but you should know that if you get a good, is there a good paper in Chicago?
Yeah, I usually buy it. It's called Sherman.
There isn't a Hebrew paper in Chicago, huh?
I think there are. I don't see them too often.
If you find out, maybe we could get in there.
Get me in.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll check. I know
By the way, that's true in any locality of any of our Zoomers. If you have a local paper, like in Florida, if you have a local paper, in Marine Park or wherever, that wants to carry my articles, we could make it happen. So.
You have the Yacht in New York also, in Jersey?
Yeah, sure, but.
Because they sell them here. I don't know if there's a local.
Well, that's the question. If there's a local, I can't be carried in too many papers just in the tri-state area. Jewish Press won't like it if I run it also in the Yated. But if it's in a local paper, that I could do. That's how I get away with the Lakewood Shopper, and I get away with the Views. Now, I should know better than asking Marshall. Anybody else? Yeah, no, I know. Listen, you learn from your mistakes. Amar Rabba, Amar Reb Yochanan. Rabba says in the name of Reb Yochanan, Asir HaKadosh Baruch Hu La'aseh Suda L'Tzadikim. Hashem is going to make a feast for the righteous, Mibesora Yishal Levyasin, from the flesh of Levyasin. Shenemar Yichru Alav Chaverim. The scholars are known as Chaverim, will have a dinner. Ve'ein kara elasuda, that refers to a banquet. Shenema v'yikra lem kara gedayla, he made for them a big banquet. V'yoichlu v'yishtu. Ve'ein chaverim ela talmidei chacham, that refers to scholars. Shenema hayoysheves baganim, those that dwell in the gardens. Chaverim, the scholars, makshivim lekolech, they listen to the word of Hashem when they learn. When we're learning, we listen to the word of Hashem. That's what the Hasidim say, that when you learn, then Hashem is talking to you. When you daven, you're talking to Hashem. Hashmi'ini, Hashem says, let me hear you. Vashar, and after giving it to the scholars, the rest is divided, and it is for supply in the marketplace of Yerushalayim. The Mefarshim say that after those that learn Torah eat it and dine on it, they will be given to those that are Taimchei Torah, to those that are supporters of Torah. They're considered the merchants. Shenemar Yachzu, it will be divided Bein Kananim, amongst the traders, amongst the merchants. Bein Kananim Elatagorin. Canaan refers to merchants. It doesn't mean the people of Canaan. Shenema Canaan biyodai, the merchant has in his hands moiznei mirma, false weights, la'ashoik oev. He loves to oppress. V'iba yesema mehacha asher sochareha sarim. Our peddlers are nobles. Kananeha, the merchants are nichbadei aretz. They're the honorable people of the land. Hashem is destined to make a booth for the righteous from the hide of the Levyasin. Shenemar, again Hashem said to Eov, Hasamale besukais ayrai, can you fill in booths with its hide? Would you be able to do that? Zacha, if a tzaddik is meritorious enough, Oisin Leisuka, he gets his own booth from the hide of Levyasin. Loi Zacha, if he doesn't merit, Oisin Leitzlatzal, he gets a shade. Shenema with tziltzil dagim, shade of the fish on Roishay, over his head. Zacha, if he has enough merit, Oisin Leitzlatzal, they make him shade. Loizach oisen like anak. They make him a bracelet for a necklace for his neck. Shenema v'anokim legargaroisech, a necklace for his neck. Zacha oisen like anak. He gets a necklace. Loizacha oisen like kmei. He gets an amulet. That's also a big midah. Shenema v'sikshirenu l'narosecha. It will be tied for your maidens. V'ashar. The rest of it, Porsa HaKadosh Baruch Hu al Chaimis Yerushalayim. Hashem will spread the hide on the walls of Yerushalayim. V'zivay mavik, and its shine will shine. Misayfa, its radiance will shine. Misayfa olam v'atzayfa, from one end of the world to the other. Shenem av'olchu goyim la'orech, nations will go to its light. O melachim, and kings l'noga zorchech, to the brightness of its shine. Now, talking about the walls, V'samti kadkoid shimshoi sayich, and I will make like kadkoid shimshoi sayich. Now, shimshoi sayich, the etymology of this word is very mysterious. Here we will learn it means walls, like the Rashbam. How it becomes walls is a little bit of a mystery. There's a machlokes between two angels in the sky. Gabriel and Michal, v'imr latrei Amorai b'Marava, two Amoraim in Eretz Yisrael. Oman inon Yehuda v'Chizkiah b'nei Rabbi Chia, Yehuda and Chizkiah, the sons of Rabbi Chia. Chad Amar Shoyam, that the wall will be made out of onyx. V'chad Amar Yoshpei, it'll be made out of jasper. Amalu HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So Hashem said, let's do it both. Lahave kedenu kedain, and that's what kad code means. Kedai like this one, and kedai like this one. Usha'arayich la'avnei ektach, and its gate will be carved out of precious stone. Ki yad yasser Rabbi Yochanan mikadarish. Rabbi Yochanan sat and expounded Osir HaKadosh Baruch Hu lehevi avonim toivos u'margolius. He will bring precious gems and pearls, shem shloishim al shloishim, which is 30 by 30. The chokik b'hem eser al esrim, and he will carve 10 by 20.
By what, Amos?
Amos, 10 by 20. This is not going to be enough, as we're going to shortly see. U'mamidon b'shara Yerushalayim, and make them in the gates of Yerushalayim. Now, there was a disciple there that mocked, because you're talking about precious gems. Nobody found a precious gem the size of an egg. A precious gem the size of, 30 by 30. You don't find a precious gem the size of a dove's egg. 30 by 30 amas, that's, you're talking about, like 60 by 60 feet.
They're not going to be put together, like all these jumps are not be put
What?
together?
No, this was one block.
Wow.
Liyamim, after some days, Hefliga Svintai B'yam. This Talmud's boat get carried out to sea. Chazam Malachi Asharis, he saw celestial angels, the Yosef Minsere Avonim Tavis. He was sawing giant precious stones, umargolias, shehem lamed al lamed, that were 30 by 30, the chokak behem, and carving eser berum eser, 10 by 20. Amalahu, so he said to them, Hani laman, what are these for? Amulei she'asar HaKadosh Baruch Hu la'amidon b'shari Yerushalayim. Hashem is going to put them by the gates of Yerushalayim. Also coming to Rabbi Yochanan, so Talmud came to Rabbi Yochanan, Amalei Droish Rebbe, keep on darshaning, Rabbi. L'chon noya lidrosh, and it's worthy for you to darshan. Kasher amarta, like you said, kein ra'isi, so did I see. So here, this Talmud, who seems to be, was a wicked person. So this Talmud got short shrift. Amalei reika, empty head. Ilmali ra'isa, if you didn't see it, lo yemanta, you wouldn't have believed it. Malagle gal divrei chacham, you're mocking the words of the sages. Malagle gal divrei chacham mata nosan einavai, he cast his eye upon him. Vinasa gal shalatzamas, and he became a pile of bones. And the Mefarshim explain that this alludes to the fact that he was wicked for a long time already. So it was like he was dead for a long time already. So he was only left with bones, because that's what it says. Rishoim Afilu b'chayeyem kriyim mesim. The wicked, even in their lifetime, are considered like they're dead. And by the way, we want to welcome in Avram Sheps and Sandy Grunfeld that are joining us as well.
Do we know what that means? He became a pile of bones. Is that to be taken literally?
Yes, it means that all of his flesh decayed immediately. Now,
If he was such a wicked,
yes.
if he was
We had
such a
the word
wicked
tongue
person,
before. Is that the same spelling as the one in the Chumash and the?
No. There it's with a cuff. This is with a cuff.
It is with a
if he
okay.
was such a wicked person, how does he get to see these
It's for the benefit of the other people.
Oh.
Now, of course, this would not happen in our day. You have to understand that the people that lived in the time of Rabbi Yochanan saw very great things. And there was more expected from them to believe. Today, there's much less expectation upon us. It's like I heard once from Rav Moshe, and this was a quarter of a century ago. But I heard from Rav Moshe once, I asked him that the Mesilas Yesharim says that the great foundation is to want the pot of gold, which is at the end of the rainbow, which is lehonois meziv hashchina, to enjoy the splendor of the Shechina la'aseh lavai. So I asked Rav Moshe, that sounds like we're serving Hashem al manaseh kabel pras. We want to benefit from the ziv hashchina. So Rav Moshe said, halavai, we believe in that. And that addresses that there's less expectation upon us in our time. And we have to be a lot more patient with people in our time. In our time, the fact that a boy wants to remain a boy and a girl wants to remain a girl, we're already ahead of we're already ahead. Yeah. Rich, could you give me some cold water?
Is it asking much to believe this story? I don't consider myself to be any kind of big tzaddik, but if the Gemara says it, if Rabbi Yochanan says it, I take his word for it.
Right. You're right. That's why it's not asking so much because we grew up with all of these Gemaras. So, and that was the taina on this Talmud, he obviously, in my course of teaching seminary, I had a student who asked questions of heresy, and I told thank you. I told the Hanhala that keep it by you in case. I told the Hanhala that I'm worried about this student, and she ended up marrying a guy. Now the pasuk says, "Va'olech eskem kaimemias," and I will lead you standing to the promised land. Reb Meir Amar Masayim Amar, 200 amas tall. Ke shtei kaimish shel Adam Harishon, like two heights of Adam Harishon. Reb Yehuda Amar Meya Amar, 100 amas tall. Keneged heichel u'ksalah, corresponding to the temple and its walls. Shenema asher baneinu kinetiyim, your children will be like shoots, migudalim, in their full height, migudalim b'nurayim, growing in their youth. B'naiseinu, your daughters will be kizavyos mechutavos, like carved cornerstones. Tavnis heichel, the height of the heichel. Now, if the heichel was 100 amas, so then how could a door be 20 by 10? 10 by 20, nobody is going to fit. Says, no, you're right. Kikam Rabbi Yochanan, when Rabbi Yochanan said that there were openings that were 10 by 20, it was only the kaveh de bezika. They were ventilation windows. So these were only the ventilation windows. V'amar Rabba Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Osir HaKadosh Baruch Hu la'aseh sheva chupos. Hashem is going to make 7 canopies l'kol tzaddik v'tzaddik, for every righteous person. Shenemar v'ara Hashem al kol mechayin har Tzion, and Hashem will create by the platform of Har Tzion, v'al mikra'eh, and for her invited guests. We'll see, the Gemara is going to tell us that in the future you got to be invited to live in Yerushalayim. Anan yoimam, a cloud in the day, v'oshan, smoke, v'noga eish lahava, and the brightness of a flaming fire, laila, ki al kol, covered, for every honor there was a chuppah. Now that pasuk says 7 terms, and the pasuk now says for every covered is a chuppah, telling us that each person got a chuppah that was designed for him. A chuppah matching his honor. Says the Gemara, Oshin b'chuppah lama. Why is there smoke by a chuppah? What's the smoke there? Amar Reb Chanina, shekol mi she'einav tzoros b'talmidei chacham. Anyone who is stingy with talmidei chachamim ba'olam hazeh, mismalois einav oshin la'olam haba. His eyes will be full of smoke in the afterlife. Now this is by the way, this is a sad phenomena that we find nowadays. That many people feel that a Talmid Chacham doesn't need to have nice things. And the idea is, look, you're getting Olam Haba. You don't got to have Olam Hazeh too. People think that. People say, what does the Talmid Chacham have to ride a nice car for?
It's an honor for him.
Yeah, okay. You think that way. That you're not going to have smoke in the next world. But the people that are einav, that are tzoros b'talmidei chacham, they're stingy with talmidei chacham. Also, there are people that feel that the talmidei chacham are the parasites of society. They're just sitting and learning the whole day and not doing anything for society. They don't realize that they're not called bonoyich, ela bonoyich. They're the builders of the world. They don't realize that the world cannot exist without Torah. Im lo brisi yomim v'loila, chukah shemayim v'aretz lo samtiv. The eish b'chuppah lama. What's the fire by the chuppah? So here the Gemara tells us a scary thing. Amar Reb Chanina malamid shekol echad ve'echad nichve mechupasei shel chaverei. Each one will be burnt from the chuppah of his colleague. In other words, every Talmid Chacham will see another Talmid Chacham that will have a nicer chuppah. And he will see, what I could have done if I would have applied myself like that Talmid Chacham. Woe to that shame, woe to that disgrace. There was even an embarrassment in the difference between Yeshua and Moshe Rabbeinu. I will give to Yeshua from Moshe Rabbeinu's shine. It was said by the elders of that generation. The face of Moshe Rabbeinu was the face of the sun. Pnei Yeshua was only Pnei Levana. 1 generation difference, and it was only a mere reflection. It didn't even have his own shine. It was only a mere reflection like the moon. Woe to that shame, woe to that disgrace. Now, what about Adam Arishan, the Yitzir Kapoi Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Amar Rabbi Chama bar Chanina, Eser Chupos Oisa HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Asa HaKadosh Baruch Hu Adam Arishan in Gan Eden. Hashem made 10 canopies for Adam Arishan in Gan Eden. Shenema be'Eden Gan Elikim Oisa, in Eden, the garden of Hashem, there was Kol Evan Yakara, every precious stone. And then the pasuk goes on to say 10 precious stones. So that represents that there were 10 chuppahs. Ma'azutra ma'achas asara. He also counts the words kol evin yakara. Shenema kol evin yakara. Now, of these precious gems, it says gold last. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, grua shebekulan zav. The most inferior material was gold. The kakashav leila b'seif, because it's mentioned last. Now, my meleches sofayich unikavecha bach. What does it mean? The work of your sofecha. The sofecha is a percussion instrument, a drum. What does it mean? It's a hollow instrument, a hollow drum. What's the meaning of the work of your drum and your orifices? Amar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Rav, Amar lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu l'Chira Melech Tzur. Now, Chira Melech Tzur claimed that he was a god, like Paro before him. He claimed that he was a god.
Did he send Shlomo Melech supplies for the base?
I'm not sure if this is the same Chiram, because it's very hard to say. The Chiram that was friendly with Yehuda lived to over 1,000 years old, and he was praised for tremendous loyalty. So I'm not sure if this is the same Chiram.
His name was Chiro, wasn't he?
Yeah, but they say that he's the same as Chiram. But I'm not sure if it's the same one, because he was considered an example of being a great friend. And here the Gemara talks about him very poorly, because the Gemara says that because he said that he's a god, so Hashem said, Nistakalti. Bach nistakalti. I looked at you, ubarasi nekavim bottom. And that's why I made that you have to go to the bathroom. You have to know that the divinity of kings and queens was an idea that existed till modern time. It's the reason why the queen always wore a dress to the ground. And there was a saying, the queen has no feet. It was an idea of divinity of the royalty. Right? So he said, it's for you that I made. And now remember that Paro tried to get around it, right? He went down to the water, right? He made believe he was communing with the Nile god when really he was going to the bathroom, right? So he said, for you I made the hollow, the stomach like a drum, and the excretory like the orifices, that we should see that you're only like an animal. You have no control even on your own body. The Ikanami, others say, Pshat, Hachikama, Bachnis Takalti, I looked at you and at your haughtiness and at your rebellion that you're claiming that you're a deity, and that's why the Kanasti Misa Marishan. That's why I introduced death into the world. And that means drums means the hollow of the grave, and the hole is the hole of the grave. Maiva al mikra eha. What does it mean? And it's invited guests, right? Kruei ha'eda. Mikra means the invited guests of Yerushalayim. I'm a rabbi, I'm Rabbi Yochanan. Like Yerushalayim shel olam hazeh, Yerushalayim shel olam haba. The Yerushalayim of this world is not like Yerushalayim of the next world. Yerushalayim shel olam hazeh kol ha'roitz l'alo yisayla. You have 1,400,000. You could buy yourself a 3-bedroom apartment in the old city. But not that. It's not that way in the olam hazeh kol ha'roitz l'alo yisayla. Whoever wants to go can go. Shel olam haba. It's not going to help that you have a good bank account. Ein oilan elam zemanim la. You only could enter if you're invited. Hopefully, our shul is going to go together to Yerushalayim, and we'll have a beautiful spot in Yerushalayim. It's another argument to make a bigger shul, to have bigger real estate in Yerushalayim. You know, you have a bigger shul, you have nicer real estate.
I'll print the tickets.
What?
I'll print the tickets for everybody to get in.
Yeah, okay.
Well, it says that whoever honors the Tisha B'Av wants to...
Right. Some people will need binoculars. Now, I know, Marshall, some people will need telescopes, nuclear telescopes. Says the Gemara, Marshall will have a perch for you on a big rock in Damascus. Now,
In your closet, Baba. Underwear.
V'amar Rabba, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Rabba said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Asidim tzadikim shenikroin al shmoi shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The righteous are going to be called after the name of Hashem. This is a theme that there is a oneness, a merging with the righteous and Hashem. Like it says, Es Hashem alikecha tira, l'rabbi talmidei chachamim. And it says in the pasuk of Voice Sidbak, you should cleave to Hashem. And the Gemara says, how could you cleave to Hashem? Hashem is an Eish Eichla, he's a consuming fire. So it says, cleave to the Talmidei Chacham. So there's a oneness, a merging. Because after all, the tzaddik has a very identifiable Chelik Elikam Emal. His neshama, which is a slither of Hashem, is very identifiable. So in the future, the righteous will also be called after the name of Hashem. Shenema kol anikra b'shmi, those that are called by my name, ulikvaydi barasiv, and in my honor I created him, yitzartiv, I formed him, af asisav, I made him. Amar Shmuel ben Achmeni, Amar Rabbi Yonasan, Gimel Nikra, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Gimel Nikra in Al Shmoi Shel HaKadosh Baruch. Three things are called with the name of Hashem. Ve'elu hein, Tzadikim u'Mashiach v'Yerushalayim. The righteous, Mashiach in Yerushalayim. Tzadikim hada Amran, Tzadikim what we mentioned before. Mashiach d'chsiv zeh Shemoi asher yikro, and this is the name that you should call him, Hashem Tzidkenu. Yerushalayim d'chsiv saviv shmoina eser elef, around about 18,000, will be round about. V'shem ha'ir miyayim, and the name of the city from that day, Hashem Shama. Hashem is there. Al tikrei Shama el Shma. Its name is Hashem. It's the city of Hashem. Amar Rav Elazar asidim tzadikim shayimim lefneim kadosh. The righteous will say before these great people, Kadosh, Let's see what the Rebbeinu Gershom says. So they translate this to mean that the angels will say, just like the angels today say Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh to the Rebbeinu Shalom. So Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Asidim Tzadikim, the righteous shenikroin, Asidim Tzadikim she'oimim lifneim, that the angels will say before them Kadosh, right? Kederech she'oimim lifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the way they refer to Hashem. Shenemar v'yanisha b'tzion, those that will remain in Tzion, v'anoiser b'Yerushalayim, and those that will remain in Yerushalayim, the righteous people, Kadosh ye'omer lo, they will be addressed as the holy ones. V'amar Rabba, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, which is not a big surprise, because the righteous people will have fulfilled the mandate of Torah Kedoshim Tiyu, to be holy. Amar Rabba, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Asir HaKadosh Baruch Hu lagvia es Yerushalayim, Hashem is destined to elevate Yerushalayim Gimel Parsois Lamala. 3 Parsois, which is 12 mil, above the rest of the world. Shenema v'rama, it will be elevated, v'yoshva tachteha, and settled beneath her. This means v'yoshva, it will be elevated and dwell, kitachteha, like its dimensions below. My tachteha, kitachteha. So, since Yerushalayim was an area of 3 parsais, it will be elevated also 3 parsais. Mimai dahai tachteha plus a parsei avya. How do we know that Yerushalayim was 3 parsais? Amarabba Amaliyahu Saba, this is Eliyahu Hanavi, L'didi Chazi Li Yerushalayim Kamaisa, I saw ancient Yerushalayim, but plus a parsei, and it was 3 parsais. V'shema Tomer, that because it's elevated Yesh Tsar Lalois, to get all the way up there will be a great difficulty. No, the righteous will be able to fly. Talmud Lema, mi eila who are these of to ufena. They will go up, fly up like a cloud. Ukiyonim el arubaisayim, and like doves enter the skylights of their dovecotes. Amra Papa, since it says 3 parsais, like a cloud, Shmai Minahai Eva, the cloud, Tlasa parsai midlay. It's in the sky 3 parsais. Rab Chanina Bar Papa. Rab Chanina Bar Papa tells us, Bikesh HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Laseis es Yerushalayim b'mida. The Rebbeinu Shalom wanted to give a finite measurement to Yerushalayim. Shenema v'Omer, Ona ataholech. Where are you going? Vayomer, and this is what Zechariah saw an angel going with a tape measure. And he said, where are you going? Vayomer Elai, and he said to me, Lamoid es Yerushalayim, I'm going to measure Yerushalayim, lirois kama rachba v'kama orcha. How much is its width? How much is its length? So the Malach Yeshua says, is that fair? Amru Malach Yeshua Sufnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu Rebbeinu Shalom. Haba krachim barasa ba'ilamecha. You made many great metropolises, shel umas ha'olam, v'lo nasata midas orkan midas rachman. You didn't limit. The more they grew, the bigger it was. Yerushalayim sheshimcha b'seicha, that's named after you. Or mikdashcha b'seicha, and its mikdash is in there. V'tzadikim b'seicha, and the righteouses are there. Atanoisim b'mida, you're giving it a finite measurement. Miyad, the Rebbeinu Shalom acquiesced, v'yomer elav, and he said, Rud staber al nar halaz, tell the angel that was measuring it, Lamar, praza is teishav Yerushalayim, let Yerushalayim be open cities, meiroiv adam ubehema b'seicha, from the majority of humans and animals inside it. Amrei Shlakish. Amrei Shlakish, also HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Lahoyisif al Yerushalayim. Now, we're going to have terms here that the Rashbam learns. They're only mnemonic devices of their gematria. There will be Elef Tipef Ginois. There will be 1,000 times Tipef. Tipef is a gematria of 169. There will be 169,000 gardens. Elef Kipel Migdalim. Kipel is 210. So there would be 210,000 towers. Elef Litzui Berinois. Litzui is Gematria 156. 146, correct. 90 and 10 is 100. 30 and 10, 146 castles. Elef Ushnei Shiloi Taitfaris. 1,002 times Shilai, which is 345 forts. V'kol achas v'achas, in all these places, have your kitzipurei b'shalvasa, will have a population like the great city of Tzipurei in its tranquility. Now, Tanya, Amr Rabbi Yossi, Ani ra'isi Tzipurei b'shalvasa. I saw Tzipurei when it was settled. in its tranquility. And it had 180,000 markets of those that sold the great appetizer known as tzike kedera, as pot roast. In other words, you measure a town, you know how many restaurants it has. It has, they say that a town has arrived. It has a pizza shop and Chinese and a steakhouse and a coffee shop and a dairy restaurant. Marshall's getting hungry, and he already ate supper and breakfast and happy hour. He's getting ready for his second wind. Marshall, tonight there's a chok.
That's my second win.
Okay, now Vatzlois and its chambers, tzela al tzela, one chamber next to the other, shalosh v'shloishim pa'amim, 33 in total. Now here's a great example. This is just a great example of homiletics, how we interpret a pasuk in different ways. We know that something is nidreshes b'shivim panim, 70 different ways, and that's just on the plane of pshat, right? There's pardes, pshat, remez, drush, and side, and even that is only just touching the surface, because ein cheker l'svunazai, there's no end to its understanding. So the my shalosh v'shloishim pa'an, what does it mean 33? Now we learned this recently in the Chak, and there the Gemara explained that a ringing around the temple was chambers called ta'im, and there were 5 on the north and the south on 3 levels. So that's 15 on the north, 15 on the south, that's 30, and 3 levels of 1 ta in the back, in the Marav. So that's the 33 chambers. So that's the simple meaning of the pasuk. But here the Gemara explains it homiletically, referring to the Yerushalayim Shel Haba, the future Yerushalayim, Amar Rab Levi, Amar Rab Papi, Mishum Rab Yeshua de Sichne, Im Gimel Yerushalayim Heim, if Yerushalayim will be 3 times the size of today, then there'll be 30-story houses. Kol achas va'achas yesh ba shloishim madurin. There will be 30-story houses. Lamala. If shloishim Yerushalayim, if Yerushalayim will be 30 times the size, then kol achas va'achas yesh ba shloishim madurin lamala. There will be 3-level houses. Now, getting back to a boat. Now here, Rich, you don't know this about Rich, but what do you think his name is Rich for? You don't know this, but he wants to buy a very fancy yacht. Rabbi Kranz, don't look at me like that. This is Rich Leonard we're talking about. Right? He wants a very fancy yacht. So, who could sell him such a fancy yacht? Let's see. Who would have such a yacht? Rabbi Kranz. Right? So Rabbi Kranz wants to sell Rich a yacht. The question is, how does Rich make a kinyan on the yacht? So he could do Mashiach by moving the yacht. The question is it enough to move it just a little bit? Or does he have to move it the full length of the yacht? So let's see it inside. Says the Gemara, Itmar, Svina, a boat. Rav Amar Kevan Shemashach Kolshu. Once he pulls it a little bit, Kana. B'shmul Amalei Kana Achi Yimshoich Eskula. He has to pull it its entire length. And of course we're talking about a very sizable yacht. So he has to pull it its entire length. So the Gemara says, Lema Ketanoi, let's say this is dependent of famous Machlokes Tanoim. Keitzad b'Mesira, how do you acquire an animal with giving it over? There is a kinyan of Mesira, of the previous owner handing it over to the new owner. Ochsa betolfa, if the new owner grabs its hoof. Besara, its hair. Be'ukav shaleh, the saddle on its back. Beshlif shaleh, the merchandise on its back. Befrumbia shebefia, the bit in its mouth. Bezuk shebetzavara, the bell around its neck. Kana. But that's the kinyan of Masira. Ketzad b'Mashicha. How does he make the kinyan of Mashicha? Kairala, if the buyer calls to it, v'ba, and it comes, oy shekisha b'makal, he hits it with a stick, v'rotzes alafanav, kevan she'okra yad v'regel, when it picks up one foreleg and one hind leg, kana. The buyer acquires it. Rav Achi v'imri lo Rav Acha amar, it has to go its full length. So Lema, Rav, Dama Tanakama. Rav that says that Rich only has to move the yad a little bit holds like the Tanakama. V'Shmuel, Dama Rabbi Acha. Shmuel, who says that it has to move its full length, holds like Rabbi Acha that the animal has to move its full length. Amalach Rav, so Rav says no. Anodami afilu Rabbi Acha. I who say that the boat, it's enough to move a little bit. Ad kan lo come a Rebbe Acha that the animal has to move its full length. Ela b'balichayin, by a horse. The afagav the oker yad v'regel, even if it picks up its foreleg and its hind leg, b'duchta kaima, it hasn't moved from its place. That's why that's not good enough. Aval svina, but the boat, the yacht, kaven the noda b'pursa, if it moved a little bit, every part of the boat moved a little bit. Noda lakula, the whole boat moved a little bit, and therefore Rich gets the yacht and is looking forward to taking the whole share for a siyum on the sea. The Shmuel Amar, and Shmuel says, Anoda amrei afilu k'tanakama. I could hold even like the Tanakama. Even though I hold that you have to move the whole boat, Ad kan lo come Tanakama elu b'balichayim, when he picks up one foreleg and one hind leg, he's not going to stand in midair. He's going to move the other legs also. Doesn't back up. The kaven lemeakra yad v'regel idach lemeakra kaima, he's going to move the other ones also. Aval svina, but a boat, imashach la kula, if you move the whole boat in, ilai, because just moving it a little bit doesn't mean it's going to continue. So there you have to move the full length of the boat. Okay, now Rabbi say the plan is as follows. We did the Mishnah Yomis already in advance because we want to do a chok now